that runs a website about this. But one of the things Joe discovered was that the owl that's at Bohemian Grove is only a relatively recent thing. Back in the 1920s, this was what was at Bohemian Grove in place of the owl. Isn't that strange? Now go and check Joe's site out. What on earth is a Buddha doing there, you know? The owl, the Buddha, what is going on over there? Anyway, this is, I think, sort of the main kind of theory here, which is, you know, order from chaos. And there's a bit of 9/11, which is the biggest criminal act of history, I think, most probably. And there you can see quite clearly stuff being exploding, you know. Anthrax letters sent to the senators and the press. In other words, basically, these are the most important institutions that are going to get the truth out, the press and democratic institutions. And of course, they all sent these anthrax letters, which turn out later to be American military-grade anthrax from Fort Detrick. So I don't think we need to be looking in a cave in Afghanistan to find where they came from. I think 9/11, I don't want to go too much into it, but this is one of the best books I've found, which also goes into the political side of it. There's a brilliant chapter in this called Angel is Next, to show how Bush, you know, Bush didn't know about 9/11 happening. He was forced during the day to come on board with this, it's all Al-Qaeda. And this goes into that in quite a lot of detail. His life was threatened. I think he was told that Air Force One will be shot down unless you start complying. Because I think Dick Cheney's the main man behind 9/11, certainly within the White House. And it's come out through Seymour Hersh recently also that Cheney was running death squads from the White House, and people like senators were being killed by Cheney who were actually from the White House. Now this is not me, this is Seymour Hersh. And this is one thing I say with everything I'm talking about. Please don't just believe me, go and check it for yourselves, because we're living in an age now where you just simply cannot rely on information. You do have to have a bit of a depth of knowledge. Go out and look things up for yourself. If you think you're in doubt about something, find the time, take the time to just check it through. Switch off the TV for a little while and, you know, read a book or get on the internet. Now, here, as I was talking about possible political assassinations, I'm not saying Robin Cook was murdered, but he did get taken away in the helicopter of death. He was reasonably okay when he got into the helicopter. By the time he arrived at the hospital, he was gone. But his wife wasn't allowed to get into the helicopter with him, which I find most peculiar. Actually really quite worrying that his wife wasn't allowed to go with him. If your loved one was going off to hospital in a helicopter, wouldn't you like to go with them? So why wasn't she allowed into there? Now, of course, Robin Cook was brilliant. I mean, from a media point of view, he was wiping the floor with the Americans on the Today programme, on Newsnight, on the news programmes, Channel 4 News, all the time. And I think he was a very brave man. And he probably would have been the leader of this country now if he hadn't been spirited off of a mountain in Scotland. Another one, this is the field where David Kelly died. His body was moved, etc. I don't know if people have seen the BBC Conspiracy Files documentary into his death. It's actually one of the better ones in that series. It looks at both sides, quite balanced. And I spoke to the producer of that programme, and he has also told me that the police told him that it was what they call a wet disposal. So something funny going on with the David Kelly death, obviously. I think that's most people in this country are very suspicious about that, particularly the fact that he was at the time, a crucial time, just before the war was about to start, he was saying the government is talking nonsense. Now, we've got a little bit of sound for you now, which is something. We're going on to the subject of 7/7, and I hope you're going to be able to play it from the back there, because I was going to be able to do it from here. But this is one of the guys who says, whether he's crazy or not, I have no idea. I don't think he is, but this is what he says went on, not on the underground train that you can see here, but on the bus. Can you just play that audio clip, please? This is Daniel Obachicki speaking. At least I hope.
I stood downstairs and waited for people to go past me, and they were all asking me questions. They were as lost as me and saying, does this bus go here? Does this bus go King's Cross? Does this bus go everywhere? And then no one fit in the description of that guy. I think his name's Hassim Hussein. He's some big hefty guy with a big massive rucksack. Now, I was standing there, people were brushing past me. I never saw no big hench guy with a rucksack go past me. That's it. Now, people might like to speculate that he was already on board the bus from a previous bus stop. I mean, That's something which someone has tried to suggest. I actually saw an individual with a light grey top and a dark grey two-tone rucksack, brown hair, who was sitting upstairs. He had a rucksack. Then he came downstairs. I'm standing downstairs. I'm saying, why is the guy sitting upstairs, then sitting downstairs? To me, I came to the conclusion that he must have been the bomber. He must have planted something upstairs, then sat downstairs. And obviously he got off in the minute before the bomb went off, when the bus driver opened the doors for no apparent reason when there was no bus stop. He was a European male in his mid-20s, brown, mousy hair. I remember his kind of showerproof top. It was light grey, and the two-tone rucksack. And that's all I really remember of him. He did look at me hesitantly a couple of times, and I looked back at him. I thought he was just another lost kind of person. I thought that's the reason he was looking at me. And he got off. He was actually the very last person to get off that bus before the driver shut the door, and then the bomb went off 60 seconds or so later. I remember this like it was yesterday. I mean, for some reason I was standing there. I was really thinking I shouldn't be on this bus. I should be on the bus in front. That's why I was getting a bit agitated there, and I was seeing what was going on, the delays, and I was looking out the window and saying, why the hell is this bus getting nowhere? So when you're in that state, looking at things and questioning everything, that's how I am as a person, I suppose. I mean, I saw this guy, and the thing which made me ask questions was, why did the bus driver stop the bus?
Okay, thanks. So that just gives you an idea. There's a completely different version of events there, totally different. And this is why there's only been an official Metropolitan Police inquiry into this, which, for example, hasn't questioned a lot of the people that were even involved. And many of the people that appeared in the press in the week or so after 7/7 were people that couldn't really remember any of the details of the incident. Isn't that peculiar? So this is really our 9/11. I would say 7/7, the London bombings, is a much more sophisticated operation than 9/11. 9/11 was fairly big, and there were some obvious real problems with 9/11. 7/7 is much more difficult to untangle. And that's why I think it's absolutely essential that we have a fully independent inquiry of some sort. I've also got in the bookshop this afternoon at lunchtime, if anyone wants, I've got a collection of the 6 documentaries which have already been made, none of which obviously been shown on television, into the London bombings for people to buy for a tenner if you're interested. But this is our 9/11, and we're kind of at the point now where there's going to be a programme on apparently in a couple of months, which I'm featuring in one of the conspiracy file programmes, where they're going to float some of these big questions about 7/7 for the first time. I've no doubt they're going to rip me to pieces, but that's not what this is about. This is about getting the questions out to the public, the serious questions out to the public. The serious questions about 7/7 are the 8-minute warning received by Benjamin Netanyahu, who was in London that day. Why is Benjamin Netanyahu getting an 8-minute warning? And of course those articles disappeared off the internet almost straight away afterwards. I mean, I've got PDF copies of them because I was thinking, gosh, this is going to disappear soon. And sure enough, it did. There's also the controlled demolition company's van, which is right next to the number 30 bus. Bizarrely, Kingstar, company called Kingstar. It certainly looks like military explosives were used on 7/7, not this homemade TATP stuff. Then also we've got the fact that Sir Paul Condon in 1997 said we've got between 100 and 250 corrupt police officers in Scotland Yard, and I can do nothing about it. So that's another factor in why 7/7 may be not being, or the truth may not be being told about that. And last but not least, Peter Power and his wonderful same 3 tube stations where he was doing his terror drills by some amazing coincidence, which is around about, a few of us sat and worked out, it's about 7 billion to 1.